Welcome to MacroCode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we're going to continue with our employees management system. And as you can see, we have a form whereby you can create a new employee. So you can save the employee number, the first name, middle name, last name, phone number, email address, country, date of birth. So we'll be changing the country so that it actually picks from the list of countries that we have. So we'll have to change this to drop down, departments, and even designations. But now we are actually dealing with the roles. So as you can see, we have also a section for leave types. You can create a new leave type. You can save that. Then you can create actually a leave application. And this leave application, you can tie to an employee, leave type, duration, save it, then it can be approved. So we have an area for approved leave applications, as you can see. So this is the employee, the leave days, the start date and the end date, the duration, the annual leave type, the attachment, and even the status. So we also have the rejected ones. You can be able to see all those leave applications that has been rejected. Then under system security, we have the system users. As you can see, these are the users within the system, and you can actually add a user. So when registering a user, you are able to tie a user to a role. So you see, you're able to tie that user to a role, and you give the user details. Then we now have the system roles. So we were able to create the roles on our previous video. So you can be able to add a new role within the application, and these roles will be the one tied to the users. Then we now have the system profiles. These are kind of system modules. So you can see the approved leave applications. This is the area, and it is actually under leave management. So these are kind of system sub-modules and the modules. The reason as to why we have these, we want to, at the end of our system development, we should be able to have users tied to specific areas and even to specific sub-modules, and as well actions. So the next thing is on our system audits. So we were able to create system audits. So as you can see, when we are doing anything within our application, the system is able to track everything that we are doing, whether it is a deletion, the kind of table that is affected, the date and time that is affected, and even if it's an update, we are able to tell the new values, the old values, and we should be able to know the new values. So if you click the details, you should be able to see that these are the old values and these are the new values that were updated, and these are the affected columns, and this was the primary key for that particular record. So the next thing is also user roles. So on our previous video, we were now assigning roles to users. So we were able to change, we were assigning rights to roles. So you can be able to select the super administrator, and you can say within this application, and these are kind of sub-modules within our application. So these, as you can see, leave types represent this area. So if you give that role to this task, then the user should be able to access that task. So if you just click assign, then our application was assigning those roles. So if I just open my database, so that you're able to see. But now on our previous video, we ended at this point, and just to ask a question, what about if you want to assign multiple roles, multiple sub areas or modules to a certain role? So in the current approach that we have, you'll have to do a lot of clicks. So let me just open my table. So our table that was storing the rights is actually these role profiles. So if I select on it, I'm able to see the user, the role ID, and the task. So as you can see, I have the role ID, and if you are keen, you'll be able to see that for these, and these, they are kind of the same roles, but you see the tasks are different. So that means one role is accessing some multiple areas within our application. So if you open this area, you are able to assign one role here, like the ICT manager, and they can maybe access employee management, you assign. Do the same ICT manager, and they are able to access approved leaves, you assign it. So when you come to our database, under the role profiles table, you'll be able to see that this ID and this one are actually accessing two different tasks. So I want us to change how we are doing this. As you can see, we are assigning one role at a time. So I want us to do multiple assignments. So the first thing that I want us to do under our system roles. So I want us within the system roles, you can be able to assign rights here. So I'm going to change this and provide a section for us to assign rights. So let's just go back to our roles. So I'm going to system roles. So I'll navigate to my application. Then I'll choose system roles. So let me just go back. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. And for those who are watching and you have not subscribed, please do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. So as you can see now, we have the edit, view, and delete. But I don't want to have the delete action. So I'm going to say assign rights. Assign rights. So for these assign rights, I'll do here, we can have it as edit. And this edit, we can have it, we can say maybe lock. It's kind of a right. And here we can do secondary to remove that. Then when you click assign rights, I want us to add another reserve view. So just within our application, I want us to come to create a folder. So create a folder within our profiles. And I think we created, this is where we were adding our rights. So within these profiles folder, let's add another reserve view called user rights. So I'm going to stop my application. Then I'll add another reserve view called user rights. So I'll just do that. Then I'll say user. So that is user rights. So if I do that, this will give me an empty. This will give me an empty reserve view. Then I'm going to have our controller under profiles. So under profiles, I'm going to create another action. So I'll just do public. So I'll just do public. And I'm actually going to copy this. You see this index. I'm going to copy everything under index and I'll paste it here. And I'm going to rename it as user rights. So that user rights will be able to give me now everything. So I think there is an issue here. We should remove that and we close it here. So we should be able now to navigate to our user rights. And on these user rights, I want us to pass the ID. So that ID will be our role ID. So we are accessing this user rights view from our roles. So if you come to our roles here, I'll say here, I'm accessing these user rights. Then the action is there and I'll pass the ID. Then I'll also pass the controller. So I'll say ASP.NET controller. Our controller name should be profiles. I'll just do profiles. So here I'll say profiles. So that is it. So when we now click assign rights, it will take us to that profiles. And on our user profiles, I want us to have one thing. I want us to have a table. So here I'll just select one thing here. I'll copy that. Then I'm going to replace it here. So I'll just do away with that. And our table here, I want us to have first an empty table. So I'm going to do table row. Then I'll close. I have table head. Do you have table? Yes. Then I'll also close the table. Then a div. Then I can format. So this is there. So I need to close another one. So this is under our user rights reserve view. So I'm going to copy that. Then here I'll say assign user group permissions. So we will be assigning our user group permissions. So here we will say, so I'm going to do away with this. Don't want that. Then as you can see, this will be our page. But let's just see if our navigation works. So I'm going to launch our application so that whenever you are on the roles, you can say assign rights to that role. then it will take you now to a page where we should be able to now handle multiple role assignments. So that is what we are going to do to ensure that we have the correct rights assignment. So I'll just go here, then I'll say do that. So I'll sign in. So if I come here, I'll say system roles. So I'm going to say system roles. So under system roles, you'll see these are the roles within our application: finance manager, HR officer, ICT officer. Then on one of these roles, if I click, you see I should be able to assign roles. So if I click assign roles, it should take us now to our profiles, our user rights page. And this is where we should now be able to assign roles to our application. So what I want us to do, I have some code that I want us to use. So, and you'll see I'll be explaining as we go so that we go fast. So I'll just go to profiles. You see these user rights that we just added. So I'm going to replace it with code that I have, and it is actually similar with what we had. So I have my profile view model, which we had defined under index. Then I'm going to have, I'm going to get all the roles from our roles table, and we are going to have these as a view bag. But I don't want to have this view bag here. So let me just see where we are using the roles. So I can do away with this. So then the system task, these are kind of the system profiles, and the system profiles we said it is actually, so let me just go. It is actually the modules and sub-modules within our application. So if I open it, you'll see that most of these are actually the dashboard, employees management, leave types, and all these are kind of the modules within our application and the actions, whether you want to define until we have the actions. So on our view profile view model, I'll just click on it. You'll be able to see that I have profiles, a collection of all the system profiles. Then I have profiles ID, which is actually an ID. Then I have something here that I've defined called IDs, and this is an array of IDs. Then I have the role ID and the task ID. So this is how our profile view model looks like. So I've initialized here. Then I'm going to assign now. I'm going to get all the system profiles here. Then I'll assign all the system profiles. I can actually, instead of doing that, I can as well do this. I'll just say task.profiles, and I'll assign everything, and I'll remove that. Then all the profiles IDs, I should be able to get them. I'll get all the roles profiles, and I should be able to filter. So I'll filter the profiles by my ID. You see, this is the ID. I'm able to get that ID, and I select the task. So then here I'll do away with this view bag. I don't need it. So there we go. So after that, I want us to do something with our user rights view model here. So I'm going to copy again the code that I have, but we go a bit. So I'm going to just go. So let me just copy here. Then I'm going to come to my user rights. Then we see what is that. So let's just see up to the table head. So I'm going to copy this. So on our form here, so you see here, I now have my div. Then this is my table, and this table is fixed, and these are the table class header, and these are the margin. Then I want us to have the module. Then within the module, we have the feature view. So this is the module, which is represent actually kind of assuming it is employees management or leave management. Then within leave management, we have a feature, or we can call it sub module. So within sub module, the sub module for us can be something like, within leave management, we have the leave types and the leave applications. And these are kind of the childs of all our parent modules. So if we go back to submodule, then within, now I'm defining what can be done within this submodule. You can either view, add, edit, delete, approve, or reject. So those are some of the actions that can be done. So now we have this table header and we have this table header. So we need to populate those data here. And how do we populate them? So we are going to use, I'm going to copy what our view model that we have here. So we are going to use this, which is our profile view model. And I'm going to have it under user rights here. So this is the profile view model, and you can say this is assign user rights. So we don't need this create action. So if I do away with that, then the next thing that we need to do, because on our controller for profiles, it is actually returning for us. It is actually returning for us this task, and this task is what is here. So that is the profile view model. So that means we can actually loop through our profiles here. So, and that is what I had somewhere. So I'm going to copy that code within here so that we are able to proceed, and I'm going to explain what is happening till the table header. So when you come to our table here, I'm going to copy up to there. Then within our table head, so this is our table head and this is our table body. So let me just confirm, yes. So within our table body, I'm going to check if my profiles is not null, and if to just explain, if you go to our profiles, you'll see that this is the task profiles. We have assigned everything that we have within our system profiles. So this is kind of the submodules. So if the submodules is not null, we are going to loop through all the modules where the profile ID is null. So that means when you check on our table on these modules and submodules, you'll see that there is the profile ID. So where the profile ID is null, these represent the parent tables. So these are not the parent tables, but the parent modules like leave management, employees management, the dashboard. But wherever there is an ID within the profile ID, that is kind of a submodule. So I'm going to loop through all the profiles ID, that is the parent modules. Then within the parent module, I'll be able to display the parent module name. Then I'm going to check if it has a children. So the children means if this parent module has submodules. So if it has submodules, then I'm going to loop through. And I want to represent this in a grid. So you'll be able to see that here I'll be having table data, and I'm looping through all the children's, that is the submodules. Then I'm going to assign the value, that is the profile ID and the submodule.id. So these are the IDs for that particular submodules. So these are the submodules IDs. So these are the IDs that we are taking. And if you are keen, you'll be able to see that this is an input type, which is for my case, I've actually added for the first entry, which is Eden, and I'm taking the profile ID. But for the others, I'm taking the input, which is actually a checkbox, and I give it the name of the array, that is the IDs. So I'm expecting an array of IDs whenever someone checks that right. So if you check our table headers here should actually be the same with the, so we are assigning the values here. You see, this is table data, and all these are checkboxes. So these checkboxes represent whether someone can add, view, edit, delete, approve, and reject. So these are table, so you'll see that these are IDs, and all this is actually kind of a loop. So if I just go back to our application here, we should be able to close our form. So let me just go back to the table here. I should close this form. So then I do that. So these are all checkboxes. So if I just do that, let me just launch my application so that you're able to see what is happening. So you can see this is how the code looks like. So let's just wait and see to ensure that everything is okay. So there we have, then we have this one. If I sign in, then there you go. So if I go to system roles, I should be able now to access my rights here. So if I say assign rights, you see it has taken me to my user rights. So under my user rights, you'll see now I have my module, which is the dashboard, represent this one. Then within the sub here, I want to see all the sub modules within our module. So you see we have the employee dashboard and the leave dashboard. So we are going to add this. So you can be able to have some different dashboards within our dashboard. Then under employees, we have only something called view, and this can be a right. So then under leave management, we have the leave types you see here. Then the leave applications, approved leave, and the rejected leave. And for all these submodules here, it has the subsequent rights. So you can be able to check and say I want someone to access that and this and maybe delete and maybe they can reject. So you are able to do that. Then you see under system security, we have system users. So that means whenever we go to system profiles, this is where we are adding the submodules. For example, you see we under system security, we only have the system users. Assuming I want to add the system roles, so I'll just come to new profile. Then I'll add, I'll say system role. Then I'll just come here and say security and I do 2 and I save it. So if I save it and refresh on my other end, you'll see I have my system role and you are able to assign the rights. So I can also come to system security and I say system profiles. I want someone to access system profiles. So I'll create that sub-module within our system. So I'll say system profile. So I'll just do profile. Then I'm going to assign that to system security. Then this is the third. So you can also create another one, system audits. So that is audit logs. If we want someone to access audit logs, so I'll just create that. Then I'm going to have these as a part of system security. And this is the fifth. So if I do that, the next thing is user roles. So if I click and I say this is user roles, then I'll do that. So see, this is system security and this is 6. Then I'm going. So here I'll also come here and say user roles. So we've done that. So under system security, we don't have that. System administration, we don't have that module. So I'll come here and say system administration, which is the main module. So this is not tied to any module. So I'll just do that. Then I'll just say this is the number 1. So that's the main module. Then I'm able to create sub-modules within that main module. And one of the module is designations. So if I want someone to see the designations, so I'll also choose here. It is under system administration, and I'll say this is the second. So if I click that, so that means if I go here and before I refresh, you see we have the system security and system users and system roles. But we have added all this and we have also introduced another main module called system administration. So if I refresh this, I should be able to see I have the system users, system roles, system profile, system audits, user roles. Then under system administration, we've just added designation. So if I add another one called departments, I'm going to add here departments. So it is tied to system administration. I'm saying this is the third. Then if I come here and refresh, I should see that as part of the sub module. And these are the rights that can be done within that application. So this is now what we are doing. So this is kind of better than what we did here. You see, under user roles, we were just tying a role to a system task. So instead of doing these one by one, so I want us to have something like this. so that whenever someone comes, if you just want to assign someone a rights, you can actually assign someone a rights from the dashboard. You can assign them to system security. You can assign them to this other end. So you can be able to see that this person, this role, is able to access these specific rights. So that is it. So, but now, how are we going to save this data? So remember on our view, we have these as arrays. So you can see the IDs. Whenever it is checked, you are able to track that. So I want us to have a save button. So I'm going to copy my div here. So this save button, I'm going to have it within the form. So just after the table. So I'll just have a div form. Then I'm going to say you can go back to the list, which is the index. But when you say we have an input here and we are going to call it assign rights. So if I refresh, I'm actually adding a button within this form so that whenever we just click submit, we should be able to take all these selections that has been done here and save it to our application. So if I just refresh, go back, you should be able to see we have the assign rights button here. So, but now we have our, on our profile view model, on our profile controller, I mean, we only have the user rights, which is actually a get. So assuming I want to have, so I'll say att get, but I want us to have another post. So att get, so I'll say this is the att get. So I want us to have now a post that will actually take now the values that has been selected here, and we should save it to this table that we were saving. You see this table for roles profiles. It is actually expecting two things. One is the task. Task here is the sub modules or the action, and this is the role that is doing that. So if we go that way, I'm going to also copy some code that I have here. So you'll forgive me. So here I'm going to copy this. Then I'll just come to my user rights. Then I'm pasting this code here. It is the same thing, user rights. It is the same thing, user rights, user group rights. But here we're expecting an ID, which is the role ID. Then we are also expecting a view model. So if you come to our user rights Razor view, so there is something here. Let me just check what's wrong there. So this one. So here you should be able to close. I think we have, this is expecting something. Let me just check what is the issue here. If I minimize that, it should be okay. So this should be okay. So I don't know why it's complaining. Yeah, so that's okay. So what I want us to do here, you see on our user rights view, we are actually expecting a profile view model. So when we click a form action, so we have our form. So this one, when we click, we want to go to user rights, but this is actually a post. So we'll just say method is actually a post. So when you click this, it should take us to now our user rights post method. So if you go to profiles, we have these now, user rights, expecting an ID and view model. So what I want us to go do is come to our user rights form. I want us to have an input, which is hidden here. So I'm going to copy that and paste it here. Then I'll say here, this name is ID. So we'll just do ID, and the value is, so I'll just do @model.id. So this is actually giving us the role ID. So I'll just do that. I can actually have it as an ID. Value. So profile.id, let's just confirm on our profiles, on our view. You see this? So I can actually do here dot role ID is equals to ID. So this is when on our get, then we can now do here value. You can have our value is model dot role ID and the name is ID. So if we do that, let's just go back to our controller and see what we've just added. So this is our HTTP post user group. We are expecting a view model. Then we are getting the user who is logged in. Then we are looping through our dictionary. So that is our array of IDs. So you see these IDs here. IDs is actually an array of IDs that you are getting from every input that are being selected. You see these selections that is happening here. All these are IDs. And these are the IDs for submodules and the actions. These are the IDs for the actions, I mean. So if we do that, I'm going now to the profiles. So we are looping through, then we create a new profile record, which we have the task ID, which should be the ID, one of the IDs from this loop. And the role ID is part of the role that we are assigning the rights, and we should be able to save with the user ID. So if I do that, let me just launch our application, and I'm going to wipe everything within our database, within our roles profiles. Let me just confirm. You see these ones? So I'm going to delete here so that you're able to see if our application works. So if I execute this, it is deleting everything. Then let's launch our app. So we should be able to assign multiple rights to a particular user group or role. So that is our aim for today's video. So if you're watching this video and you like, comment down below. And if you feel you want to buy us coffee, you can buy us coffee. We'll really appreciate. So there we go. So I'm going to sign in, and I can actually access my app. So if my app is accessed, I'm able to get there. Then here I should come to system roles. Then I can get to assign rights. Then you can see all these are actually not selected. So I can select some just randomly, some areas that I want my application to access. So if I do that, I can actually have a breakpoint here so that we see what is happening. Then when I click some assign rights, you're able to see it is taking us here, and we have our role ID. You see that is the ID for our role. Then on our profile view model, we have the IDs, that is an array of IDs that has been selected. So if I come here, you'll see that the IDs that has been selected is 11, 13, 5, 7, 14, 20, and 20. So I don't know if we selected the, yeah, I'll try to check that. So if I do that and proceed, this should actually be, so you see the user view. So that is when returning to the view, but this should actually return us to index. So I'm going to do this, and this should return us to, let me just say, to index. So but now let's check if our roles were saved. You see all the roles that we selected. So these are the roles that we selected, but we need to check that we only have the unique IDs that are being saved. So here, let's just confirm here what happened. So what I want us to change, so I want us to change something on how this is going to work. So you can see we have the submodule, but I don't want to have these actions here. So I don't want us to kind of have these actions within our view, but I want it to be part of the system submodule. Then we can have actions as part of the list here. So what I want us to change, instead of saying add, edit, delete, approve, these actions, I want it to be part of the details that are being added within our application. So I'll say assign right. So if we say assign right, then that means we should only be able to have one checkbox at a time. And then the actions for approve delete will be created by the system. So should be actually be created when so if you do that, I'm going to launch my app so that we see what I want to achieve. So I don't want us to have because as you can see, so let me just start my app so that you're able to see what is happening. So as you can see on our table, we are only expecting the task ID and the role ID. So for the task, I want us to be defining them within our system profiles. So let's just launch and see how our application will go. So if we launch, I want us to have here, if I just log in, assign it. So if you come to system security, then assign roles. I'm going to finance. Then if I say assign, I should be able to see, you see, I've actually limited it to module, submodule, and we have now the employee leave dashboard view. So I want us to have only one action at a time. So the right here will be based on the module and submodule. But what I'll be doing, we'll be dividing this submodule. Then we'll have another tab here for actions. So I'll just go back here and I can maybe have another submodule. Then we can say actions. So those actions are what the users can do within our application. So if we go back here, I'll have the submodule. Then I'm going to have the actions. So if I apply changes, I should be able to have a submodule and then actions. So let me just refresh my app, then we see. So I think changes is applying. Yes, you see, we now have employee dashboard, then a leave dashboard, then we have actions. So these actions will be based on what is within our submodule. So that I want us now to look through. So I can be able now to look through. So for the actions, I want us to have, I want us to do something here. So I want us to look through here and we'll be, so here we'll be having that and that. So I want us to have these three. Then within our actions, I want us to have, so this is our submodule, then module, submodule. Then here, I want us to have, we'll say this is actions. And here within actions, I want us to have the sub-children for our module. So you see this module. Then here, I'll just say I want the name for our action.name. So that will give us all the actions within our sub module. So let's just launch and see if that works. So if we refresh, we should be able to see that we should be able to have the actions within our application for different sub modules. So there we go. I think there is something that let me just confirm. So if we do this, we should be able to have so this should not be a table row. So this should be the one. And I should have another table row here and another here, which is actually closed here. So this one, I'll remove that. So if I do that, refresh my app, then go back here, we should have the module, submodule, and the actions. So let's just wait and see. There we go. So we have our submodules. So these, so let me just press a breakpoint here. So I'll just refresh. I'll have a breakpoint here. Yes. So if I do that and refresh, I should be able to see. So within our submodule, so which is our submodule? Our submodule is here is employee. So let's proceed. Our submodule here is leave. Let's proceed. Our submodule here is leave dashboard. If we proceed, we are going to see if there is anyone. You see, this is a view. So what I want us to do, I want us to ensure that we have, let me just go. So I want us to ensure that when we go to our system profiles, I want us to have the kind of a third area. So I'll just go here. I'll add new profile. Then I'll say under leave types here, I'll say I want someone to view. And this is one. And I also want within our leave types, I want someone to create. Then this is 2. So if I do that, if I click, I'll also have leave types, and I can say create. I can say view. I think we had added that. I can say delete, and this is the fourth one. So if we go back now here, we are expecting to have you see, we are expecting to have this. So we now have sub modules within the leave types. You see these: view, create, and delete, and we should be able to have the rights for each of these particular areas. So if we do that, then we should be able now to see within the leave types, we have these 3 actions. Within the leave application, we have these 3 actions. We can actually now add. So let me just check here. This should be table. So I can actually have these to be table head. Then we can have these as a table data. So if I apply the changes, so we should be able to see under the dashboard, we don't have any actions that we are expecting the user to do. But under the leave types, which is under leave management, the submodule is leave types. We have these 3 actions. Under leave applications, we can actually add them. So I'll go to leave applications, and I'll say here leave applications, which is under leave applications. I can say view. So we want someone to view. I'll create that. I'll create another one under leave applications. Then where is it? Then I can say view. What other? Then I can say create. Someone can create a leave application. So if I save that, come here, then I refresh, I should be able to have the 2 rights. You see, this is the view and create. So we should now be able to see for each of the sub modules within our application, we have a right for it. And from here, I can now say, let me just delete. I can delete here. Then for example, under leave application, I can assign this role. This is the role ID here. So this is we are operating under one of the role ID. So I can assign 2 rights, create and view, which is under leave applications. So if I click save, I should be able to get 2, you see, the IDs, they're actually 2, 5, 5. So I'll just do that. So if we come here and select, I'm going to select that. So there we go. So the task ID is, so let's just come here. I think there's something we missed. So if we go to our role, we should not be assigning the sub module here. So this should be actions. So here it should be actions. So our role ID should not be the same. So you see it has actually saved only 1 ID, but it should be 2 of them. So let's just relaunch our app. So if we go to user rights, roles, then we are going to assign the driver, and I'm going to assign only the leave types, and these are the 2 roles, create and view. So if I click assign, it should assign 2 roles. So if I assign here, you see there are 25 and 24. So let me just delete so that we ensure we have the correct thing. So if I select here, we only we have nothing. So if I go back, this is the rights, and here I'll just select these two and assign. So if I go to my application, I should have two of them. So you see the task is 24 and 25. So that has now given us the flexibility of, instead of having different roles that has been mapped to our application or are coded, so we have now allowed it to be flexible. So you can see we will now be able to define all the rights, the module, the submodule for each of the application area, and give it the rights for application. So I think I'm going to leave it to today there. Then we should be able now to see how are we enforcing these rights to our user who is actually logged in. So I'm going to save this, and it should actually give me all the rights that has been saved, you see. And if you are keen, you'll be able to see that the role is the same role. So that is it for today. So what I'm going to do is leave it for there. Then if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, like our video, and see you in our next video. Bye.